Today, we are taking a deep dive, and I mean quite literally, into one of the most incredible scientific projects ever. We're talking about the Kola Superdeep Borehole. It's an amazing story about human ambition running right up against the raw, wild power of our own planet. So, let me just ask you, what do you think is the deepest hole humanity has ever managed to dig? We've gone to the bottom of the ocean, we've climbed the highest mountains, but what about digging down? Well, believe it or not, back in 1970, while everyone was focused on the space race to the moon, there was another kind of race going on, a race to the center of the Earth. Soviet scientists started this wild project to drill straight into the planet's crust, just to see what was down there, and they called it the Kola Superdeep Borehole. And let me tell you, this was no simple drilling job. This was a seriously daring mission, a real quest into a totally unknown world that was hiding right under our feet the whole time. So kicking off in 1970, these teams worked for years on this. They were constantly pushing the absolute limits of their technology. They just kept drilling deeper and deeper until they finally hit a record that nobody had ever reached before. The goal itself sounded pretty simple, right? Just drill the deepest hole ever. But actually doing it? Oh, that was a completely different story. It was a massive undertaking, a real test of just how far human ambition could go. And here's the thing. They actually did it. And it was spectacular. But to really wrap your head around just how big of a deal this was, we need to put it into perspective. Okay, so we all know about Mount Everest, right? The tallest mountain on Earth. It's a massive 8.8 kilometers high. It's like the ultimate symbol of conquering nature. Now, the Kola Superdeep Borehole, it reached a final depth of 12.2 kilometers. That is way deeper than Everest is tall. Really think about that for a second. If you could somehow take Mount Everest, flip it upside down, and drop it into that hole, you'd still have more than 3 kilometers of empty space left over at the top. To this day, it is still the deepest artificial point on the entire planet. But getting to that incredible depth didn't come easy. The team was basically entering an alien world, and the plan itself, well, it started to push back in ways that nobody, and I mean nobody, could have seen coming. Yeah, just as they were at the very edge of exploration, things started to get really, really strange. The Earth began to reveal some secrets that were, well, they were both fascinating and frankly a little terrifying. The first huge problem, and the one that ultimately ended everything, was the heat. Now, the scientists knew it would get hotter the deeper they went, but their calculations were just completely off. The temperature shot up way, way faster than anyone had predicted. At the very bottom of the borehole, the temperature hit a blistering 180 degrees Celsius. That's almost 360 degrees Fahrenheit. It's hot enough to literally cook food, and it's definitely not the kind of place you want your expensive, high-tech machinery to be. And that was exactly the problem. Their state-of-the-art equipment, the drill bits, the sensors, everything, it just started to fail. It couldn't handle that kind of intense, nonstop heat. Things were essentially melting and breaking down. But believe it or not, the heat wasn't even the weirdest part. The scientists started to notice something bizarre happening to the rock itself. Down there, under all that pressure, it stopped acting like a solid. It actually started to bend and flow, almost like it was plastic. So let's break that down. You have this crushing pressure from all the rock above, plus this insane heat. And together, they were creating conditions that just changed the rules of physics. So instead of drilling through hard, brittle rock, they were trying to drill through something that was pliable. The hole would literally start to flow back in on itself. Drilling became impossible. So, faced with these impossible physics, the mission just came to a halt. But, funnily enough, what they learned because they failed was maybe even more important than what they hoped to find if they'd succeeded. The Earth had basically put up a wall that no amount of technology or human willpower could break through. So after decades of work, the team had to make that tough call and just stop the project for good. So in the end, it was a 1-2 punch from the planet itself. The heat was destroying all the equipment, and the weird plastic-like rock made it useless to even try. So the site was abandoned, and the deepest hole ever dug by humans was sealed up forever.
Now, you might hear all that and think, well, that's a shame, it was a failure, but what this whole effort revealed was actually something totally mind-blowing about our world. So what was the big takeaway from this decades-long journey?
This right here, this is probably the most shocking part of the entire story. Even after drilling deeper than Mount Everest is tall, that massive effort only let us see less than 1% of the Earth's crust. 99% is still a complete mystery. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. We have sent spaceships to the very edge of the solar system. But when it comes to the actual ground we're standing on, we've barely, and I mean barely, even scratched the surface. And that leaves us with this final, kind of awe-inspiring question. If you find a world of plastic rock and crazy temperatures just 12 kilometers down, what other unbelievable secrets is our planet hiding, just waiting for us right beneath our feet?